Hi there, it's Miss Pritzel in the Appleton West Library, and I am book talking a realistic fiction book called Far from the Tree, and the author's name is Robin Benway. I read several of her books over the summer. One was Emmy and Oliver, and these are the two that stick with me. So Far from the Tree is interesting because sometimes I look at what other people have to say about the book, and some it made me cry. This one, actually, I would label it as a feel-good realistic fiction. It deals with the difficult issues of adoption, families, foster care. But at the end, I was more oh, than I was crying my eyes out, which isn't always a bad thing. So, I'd also should note that this we don't have the little sticker on it. But this book won the National Book Award for Youth Literature when it came out. That's a big deal to win a National Book Award. But I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'm afraid to tell kids it won awards because I've read enough award books where I'm why? And I've read enough award books where I'm okay, I'm an adult and I like this, but are kids going to like it? I think kids who like realistic fiction dealing with some tough issues. So it starts out where it's told from 3 points of view: Grace, Maya, and Joaquin. It starts out with Grace, and Grace is having a baby, and she's 16, and she's decided to give up the baby for adoption, and then I'm trying to remember if it's the end of the first chapter. She's, after she's had the baby, she's like, Mom and Dad, I want to find my birth mom. And that's, so Grace gave up her child for adoption because she herself was adopted. And luckily her parents are very open to this. And she can find out some information, but not everything. So the information that she finds leads her to a younger sibling, Maya, who has also been adopted. Grace's parents are extremely supportive, which I love, because I have to say Grace is the boy who got Grace pregnant, or helped Grace get pregnant, not the most favorite character ever. And so Grace's parents are very supportive. Maya's parents are struggling. Their marriage is kind of falling apart. They're very wealthy, because private adoption in the United States is very expensive. And then they also, it leads them to Joaquin. And Joaquin is a mixed race, and he's never been adopted. So he's been in the foster care system his entire life. And actually he's with a foster family that he likes a lot right now, and they actually want to adopt him, but he's not really sure. And you can sit there and you go, why not? But a kid who's lived in this foster care system and seen the good and the bad, I think as an adult, I felt I understood. Part of me is why not? But also, I did understand why he might hesitate to do that. So it deals with adoption, not just being adopted, but also giving up a child for adoption. That's one thing Grace does not tell her siblings, that she's done that until near the end of the book. It's finding out about these people that you're blood related to. So there's kind of this issue of what makes a family. Is family something is it blood? Is it something you choose? And who gets to have that family? The two girls get adopted. Why doesn't Joaquin get adopted? Partly because it's harder for boys, and particularly boys who are mixed race or of color, to be adopted than it is for girls to be adopted. And adoption in the United States, especially private adoption, is extremely expensive. So that rules out so many great people who could adopt or would want to adopt. So like I said, I really enjoyed this book. It dealt with some difficult issues, but at the end, I wasn't crying my eyes out. I was kind of oh, this was just such a good story. So if that's the kind of book you're interested in, great. I think you should read Far from the Tree. And like I said, Robin Benway's written her book Emmy and Oliver is really interesting too. that deals with a wholly different issue. Like, I was like, wow, that would be weird. So like I said, I think this one deserved the award it won. And I definitely recommend it to people who like realistic fiction on difficult, but like I said, I didn't feel like this was sad issues. So there were sad things, but for the most part, I felt it was more hopeful than not. So come in, check out this book. I'll recommend something else, help you find whatever you want, because it's my job to keep everybody reading.